Hello friends, welcome to Anand Learning Studio. In this video of the series Python Basic to Advanced, we will be learning about variables and data type. So without wasting your time, let's jump to the video. What variables are? Variables are basically a container where you store some value, and whenever you want to access some values, you just call that by variable. Now we have to understand one thing, that whatever values basically you are trying to store, that is stored at a particular memory location. So memory is dynamically allotted in Python, and at a particular location your value is stored. Now in order to access that value, you will not be calling that value a memory address, no. So instead you need something which you can recall, and it is easy to basically call that and remember that. So when you store a particular value in a variable, you can basically access that value using that variable. So suppose if I'm saying a equals to 5, what is happening? I am saying that this is a value 5 which I want to store, and this value 5 will be stored at a particular memory address. Okay, now whenever I need this value 5, instead of going and calling that memory address, what is the way of reference? I have this name called a. So whenever I will be calling a, basically I am making a call to that reference, and I will be getting the value of 5. Similarly, if I say s is equals to some value like Python, and in this case I am storing this value Python at a particular memory address, and in order to access that I am just calling this variable s. So whenever I have to store a value which I will be repeatedly using, then I will be storing that in a variable, and that variable will become a reference to that value. So how we can check? There is a function called id function, which basically gives us the reference address of the memory where it is stored. So if I'll say id of a, it is basically giving me this reference address. Okay, similarly id of s is giving me that, okay, this Python is stored at this particular reference address, this 5 is stored at this particular reference address, and you will not be using these numbers to call 5. What you will be using? You will be using the name a or s or whatever is the name of your variable. So it is helping you two ways. It is basically easy to remember, and also you can name it according to your use case. Okay, so suppose if I want to store the age of a person, I can name the variable as age. If I want to store the name of a person, I can save it as a name. So that's the concept of variables. And data types are basically what defines your data. There can be multiple data types: integer, float, string, list, tuples, sets, dictionaries. So multiple data types are there. What data? It basically tells you about the property of data. So in this case, suppose if I'm saying a is equals to 5, a becomes the variable, and the data type of this particular value is integer, because this is an integer value. In this case the data type is string. So similarly, the data type tells you about the data. How can we check the data type? Type function helps us to get the data type of a particular variable. So if I'll say type of a, I will be getting int. If I'll say type of s, I will be getting str. Okay, similarly I can have a list. Okay, and if I'll say type of this list li, it will give me the type of list, and if I'll say id of li, it will give me the reference value. Now data types are of two types: immutable data types and mutable data types. What basically these are? Immutable data types means once you have defined them, you cannot modify them. Data types, all the data types which once defined cannot be changed, are called immutable data type. And the opposite to that is mutable, means you can mutate that particular data type. Even after defining them, you will be able to change them. So what are immutable data types in Python? Integers are immutable, strings are immutable. What are mutable data types? Lists are mutable, dictionaries are mutable. So how these are happening? Let's quickly try and understand this by an example. Suppose here we have a variable called s, which is having a value Python. Now what was the value of id of s? Id of s is 140720638026576. Okay. Immutable means once you have defined it, you will not be able to change it. Let's try and change it. If I will say s equals to hello world, will I be able to execute it? Oh, it executed. Why is it? I told you few seconds ago that strings are immutable. Now I was able to change the value of s. No, actually what is happening, strings are still immutable. In this case, what happened, when I initially defined s with the value Python, it was stored at a particular reference address. Okay? When I'm trying to store this s with the value of hello world, what is happening? This hello world is stored at a new memory address, and now this s is pointing to this particular value. So if you will check the ID of s now, the ID is changed. Earlier it was pointing to this particular reference, now it is pointing to this particular reference. So what basically happened, there was a particular address, okay, where s was pointing to, and now when you said s is equals to hello world got stored at a new particular location, but now the reference of s got deleted to this particular location and it started pointing to this new address. In this case, what happened, the older reference got deleted and it is pointing to new memory address, and whenever you will be calling s now, it will be basically giving you the new value. So that's why when we will call s now, we will be always getting hello world. So how we can understand what immutables are? Let's try to change a value in this string. Suppose I want to change the last character of this s. Okay, so instead of world, I want to keep it as something else. I want to just replace d with some empty string. So I will say s of -1. Don't worry, we will be learning about all these string concepts in detail in the upcoming videos, but this is how you can access a particular character in string, and I want to replace it with an empty character. Now I am trying to change the actual string where this is stored. What is the address? This one. Will I be able to change? No. Now I will be getting str object does not support item assignment because they are of immutable data type. So if suppose I have a list li, we already have a list now, okay, and the id of li is this one, and now if I want to change a particular element in li, suppose I want to change the last element of li to 40, so I will say li of -1 equals to 40. Will I be able to change? Yes, I will be able to change. Did it created a new reference? No, it is still pointing to the same reference because lists are mutable, so you will be able to change the values in a list. So that's basically what happens in the case of variables and data type. Variables are used to store a reference to a value. Okay, variables will be basically acting as a reference, not exactly it is storing the reference, but yeah, variables are basically a reference to the values. Okay, you can call any value you have stored with the name of that variable, and data types basically defines the data types. In Python, the data types are dynamic. What I mean to say is that if suppose currently the value of a is 5, and down the line if you want to change a to something as a dictionary or anything, it will not complain that hey, a is already having some value of integer and now the type has changed. It will not complain you. So be careful while you are using the variables. Okay, use some meaningful names so that you will be easily able to understand the data types also. We have some other ways to handle this, which we will be covering in the upcoming videos. But yeah, that's about the variables and data types in Python. If you have any question, feel free to comment on this video. Also, please, if you have understood the concept and if you like my videos, please like and share. Also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.